As a fantasy apologist, I am advocating for a change in the modern magic system. Okay. Before you take the pitchforks to me, at least hear me out and not like that. Forget everything you know about tired elemental tropes and binary magic wars because they are exhausting. I am tired of the fireball. The fireball is very effective, but I am a bit tired of it in writing. We are witnessing the rise of ecological fantasy, where sentient weather patterns and complex mycelial webs demand a price for their power. Mycelial meaning vegetative root-like networks of fungi comprised of thread-like hyphae. Listen, I'm a biologist. I gotta throw the big words in there. That's how you know I'm smart. Magic is no longer about total control. It's about a grounded, dangerous, reciprocated, and that mirrors our real-world crisis without having to be political. Traditional fantasy gave us fireballs, ice bolts, and endless chosen one-power fantasies. Fun? Absolutely the simple things. But we are starting to move past that. In 2026, ecological fantasy is exploding because writers are finally treating biodiversity as the ultimate magic system. We're replacing hollow spells with living, breathing ecosystems that push back. Vast biodiversities that buries itself miles beneath the earth. Sentient weather that bargains with your emotions. And the cost of power, not mana points, ecological reciprocity, or simply the cost of each spell. Let's look over some examples. Hits like Linda H. Codega's, I apologize for her last name, Motheater, dropped in January and instantly became a flagship. An epic, inclusive eco-fantasy, where the last witch of an Appalachian mountain is literally bound to the ridge itself. Harm the land and her magic withers. Restore it and the mountain has enough power to fight back for her. Another example would be Molly O'Neill's Greenteeth. It gave us a charismatic lake monster as a protagonist, weaving folklore and found family magic rooted in wetland ecosystems. Even cli-fi crossovers like E.J. Swift's When They Are Wolves Again show real wilding wolves as world-altering acts of magic and a collapsing climate. Of course, I'm going to be a big fan of that book, as wolves are my favorite. This isn't just a trend hopping, not anymore. It's fantasy reclaiming some of its lost soul. Nature magic's potential is infinite. Traditional fantasy boiled it down to 4 boring elements. Ecological fantasy says, why stop there when reality itself gives us endless directions? Entire forests become literal information highways for spells. A mage doesn't cast, they listen to the wood wide web. No? Okay. Trading secrets across miles of roots, sentient weather patterns. Hurricane isn't a random destruction. It's a living entity that demands tribute. Maybe a memory, maybe a reforest the coast. How about the cycles of life? Magic is built on predator-prey dynamics, where every spell ripples through the food chain. Balance isn't optional. It's the entire rulebook. Diverse life means diverse directions. Bioluminescent deep-sea magic. Parasitic vines that heal or devour. Keystone species whose survival literally powers empires. We're finally using the full complexity of biology, decomposition, symbiosis, and extinction events as the engine of wonder. It's visceral, it's grounded, and I'm loving every second of it. It feels dangerous because it is. Here's where we get revolutionary. In ecological fantasy, the biggest level up isn't about learning new spells. It preserves a species. Imagine a young druid in a blighted valley. Traditional fantasy, they'd hunt a dragon for a fire staff. But here, they spend 3 chapters tracking down the last pair of a rare pollinated moth. By protecting their habitat, planting specific wildflowers, and removing invasive machinery, they save the moths. Then they unlock a symbiotic bond. The moths now carry pollen laced with raw, life force magic. And suddenly, the druid can accelerate growth across entire fields or heal poisoned soil for generations. That's more than just a spell slot or some dumb staff. That's a permanent upgrade to the land itself. Or imagine an entire system of natural selection and evolution. The magic could be infinitely complicated. Let's look at another example about keystone species. Keystone predator example, straight away from the new wave. A coastal kingdom relies on dying coral reefs for their storm shielding magic. The hero doesn't blast the overfishing fleet with lightning. Instead, they orchestrate the return of a nearly extinct otter population. Otters devour the sea urchins that were destroying the kelp forests that protected the coral. Within months, the reefs explode back to life. The level up, the entire ecosystem now amplifies weather wards tenfold. Storms spin around the kingdom instead of smashing it. These actions not only mimic modern culture, but they also offer a real-life comparison of the kind of craft that everyday people can do. As a wildlife biologist, I can tell you that these actions stack over time. We make caring about our environment the norm again. No politics, no hate, no evil dark warlord, only individual choices that, when acted on, protects Mother Nature. One restored predator can be more powerful than any fireball. In Motheater, the witch's deepest power surges only when the mountain's biodiversity is intact. Harm a single keystone lichen or algae, her spells crack. Restore an entire ridgeline, the land itself becomes her weapon. This is fantasy saying true strength is stewardship. And this shifts everything who the magic users even is. Traditional fantasy heroes were lone wolves with innate talent, wizards of hoarding powers and towers, warriors swinging swords of destiny. Ecological fantasy? The MC becomes a node in the web. Their identity is forged by rhythm rather than ego. You don't master the forest, you negotiate it with it daily. Overhunt? The prey spirit withdraws their speed blessings. Pollute the river? The water elements curse your bloodline until balance returns. Magic users now carry responsibility like a second heartbeat. A storm caller isn't just commanding wind. There is a lifelong with atmospheric patterns. A mycelial necromancer doesn't raise the dead. They facilitate decomposition cycles that feed new life. Your power level is literally measured by the weather of your power or health of your ecosystem. This redefines heroism. It's no longer about being the strongest. It's about being the most reciprocal. This behavior carries profound implications for our modern world. We live in culture steeped in entitlement, main character syndrome, resentment, and relentless materialism. An entire generation of me. Now imagine your favorite character forced to give without any guarantee or receive in return. A world where transactional thinking simply doesn't exist. I believe this kind of ecological reciprocity would be the antidote we've been searching for. A powerful cure for many of the toxic behaviors plaguing our time. Look, I'm someone who loves traditional fantasy. I grew up with Lord of the Rings, The Wheels of Time, and Swords and Sorcery's pulp, where a good lightning bolt solved everything. I still do. It's my favorite. Predictable power fantasies have their place. They're comfortable. They're escapist. They've let us feel like gods for a few chapters. But ecological fantasy wins me over because biological systems are better drama. Traditional magic is clean, hierarchical, and controllable. Fire beats ice, done. Biological systems, chaotic, unpredictable. One tiny butterfly migration shift can cascade into a continent-wide bloom or famine. A single extinct beetle might quickly collapse an entire magical school foundation. That complexity mirrors our real-life crisis and makes the stakes feel far more alive. It's more than hollow power anymore. It's dangerous, beautiful, and as a lifelong traditionalist, I'm all in on modern fantasy, choosing nature magic. It deepens wonder. Magic systems isn't new, but its approach is. We're writing stories that demand we ourselves as part of the web, not more than it. Ecological fantasy isn't preaching. It's thrilling. It's asking, what's the greatest spell wasn't conquered but coexistence? If you read any of these books, either in 2025 or 2026. Or if a book already changed how you see magic, drop it in the comments. What ecosystem would you bargain for with the power? Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe us for more deep dives into where fantasy is headed next. See you later in the red.